Hi guys and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Sliggle and here we are once again for some more of the guide videos for Return of Reckoning. We are gonna be specifically looking at the Destro City Dungeon BB&B. Before we start, make sure you like and subscribe on the YouTube if you didn't yet, and you can also catch me streaming on a Kick, so I will put the links below. So thank you for watching and let's get to it! Alright, so before we head out to the dungeon, let's take a look at where the dungeon is. So it's a city dungeon, so they are gonna be in the IC. You have BB to the east of the apex, while BE is all the way south. So you will be able to pick up the quests for the dungeon outside of each dungeon, which will gives you, regular 3 rounds to get the piece of gear if you are not lucky to get your gear in there. And you can also check the influence at each of the entrances. So this is for the BB. I said BB is east of the apex. Alright, and the same goes for BE, which once again is located south of the apex. You will have quest pickups right inside of the dungeon, and there's also the influence you can check once you finish and pick up weapons. Right, so what is actually BB&B? The BB&B is the level 40 dungeon with your 222 count, with the one tank can be a 2-hand. Sentinel gear is equivalent to a vanquisher, so if you wanna skip spending tokens for a vanquisher gear, you can always check if your sentinel gear is good for you, and you can just complete your ward with it. Also, a lot of people will do it for the ring that comes with it, because you can buy a talisman spot for it, which will actually add more stats to you. So it's a lot of coming with the stat max in. So yeah, most people will do it just for the ring, but the gear is very good if you wanna just skip one question whatsoever. Great! Alright, so we are gonna start with BB, which at the start is just a lot of pull, AoE pull, which you just go with your tank and pull everything and just AoE everything down all the way till you get to the first boss. Once we get to the first boss, we'll explain the fight. It's fairly easy. His name is Maggotfiend Urhil. He is pretty much a tank and spank boss. He has a frontal AoE vomit, so you want to make sure your tank is facing him away from the group. He has a 50% chance of dropping a belt, and other than that, that's it for this boss. Once you finish killing the boss, he will unlock the door for you, so you will just continue your way towards the next boss. To the boss room, it's important that you clear everything on the top before you will be able to jump down for the boss, because the second you drop down, the boss will trigger. So make sure you clear everything on the top before you drop down. So the boss number 2 is Ssyrdian Morbidae. He is not the toughest boss, but he does put a debuff on your tank. So when he gets certain amount of stacks, you would like to have it. You would like to have the off tank to pull him off. That way he can get the stacks up, because the more armor debuff he has, it's higher chance that he will get one shot. Nobody does the cauldrons on the top, so do not worry about being infected by infections. This is mostly a DPS race, so yeah, just make sure you off-toned from your tanks and you should be all set. To finish killing Ssyrdian, you will be coming back to where you fought the first boss and go on the other side of the gate that open to get to your next boss. Just be careful in these areas. There is Nurglings that if you have them stacked together and kill them together, they do all explode, so just be careful of that. First is Bartholomeus the Sickly. Bartholomeus the Sickly is the room in front. The tank will have to pull him towards the room before the boss, and you can tank him either against the pillar or against the wall, because he have a push, so you don't want your tank to be flying around. So a tank is standing with his back towards the pillar, and we do just stack on the boss. There is a saying that you could spread out to avoid the Nurgling spawns, but it also depends on how is your AoE. The more Nurglings you have, the more damage the tank usually gets. So as long as you keep up on the killing the Nurglings, you will be fine. After finishing the boss fight, you will be heading back towards where the first boss was, and it will open another gate for you, which we will go to face the last boss. Alright, and we are the last boss for the BB, which is called the Bile. So the Bile has a frontal AoE woman, so you want your tank to make sure he is facing them away from the group. There's also gonna be a constant puddle spawning, so make sure you do not stand in the puddles. Every 20%, so at 80, 60, and 40%, he will spawn in another ads, which you will have to group up and burn them out. At 30%, he will stun entire group and swallows them, and you will have to go inside of his body and kill the innards, which I will slow down for you guys so you guys can see it. But yeah, other than that, just avoid the puddles, make sure you kill all the spawns, and you will be all set. You get outside of the body, just make sure your tanks picks up the Bile once again, and it's going back to the stage 1 when there's going to be puddles on the ground, so just DPS him down, and that will be it. Yeah, moving onwards to BE. So when you enter, you can start heading to the left towards the first boss. Once again, it's more like just an AoE pulls for the beginning, so just like have your tank AoE pull what you think they can handle, AoE down until you get to the first boss. Alright, so for the first boss for BE, we have a Korthuk The Raging. So the Korthuk The Raging, you're gonna count him towards the gate in the back. You will kill the ads first, starting with the musician, and you will stack in front of him. So there is actually different ways how you can do this boss. Most people stack in front of him, and you can ignore the barrels. If you do feel like you are taking too much damage from the barrel, you can always kill the outdoor stout and XXX Bergman, but you should be good just stacking in front of the boss and not need to do the barrels. Right, after finishing a Korthuk, you will be heading back towards the start of the dungeon, when you will be taking a right side of the dungeon to get to the 3 mini bosses you will need to kill before going to the final boss. Know that the right wing has a champion mobs that do have an AoE spin, so be careful when you're pulling a lot of them, because do they hurt and there's a chance that you will get wiped. The first mini bosses you will encounter is Sarloth Bloodtouched. He does have an AoE stun, and he spawns bottles, and he spawns additional ads. Just make sure the healers pay attention just in case your group gets a stun in the puddle, so they don't take too much damage. So just make sure nobody dies. He is also one of the bosses that drops item for the final boss. We preferably want one person to pick them all up, usually a healer, but just talk to your party and figure out who is gonna get what. And in this case, he drops a claw. Alright, for the next mini boss we have Yozig The Blooded. Yozig is mostly tank and spang. He does spawns additional ads, so just keep AoEing them down to not to get overwhelmed. He is also dropping another item for the final boss. In this case, it's an orb, so make sure your preferable person picks it up. Before you encounter the last minute boss, you will have to clear the ads before it. Make sure you do focus the mages first because they do spawn additional mobs. Just the more you AoE, the more mobs they spawn, so just be careful with that. Make sure you burn the mages first, and then you can head out to the boss. We have Cullius Embervine, which you wanna tank him pretty much where he stands. He does have an AoE all like around, so there's no way to avoid in it. But after every AoE, he spawns more mobs, so just be careful with that. But other than that, he's mostly a tank and spam, and he is the last minute boss you will need that drops an item for the last boss, which in this case it's a hard. After finishing the last minute boss, you will be heading back towards the start of the dungeon, and you will be taking a center pad all the way to the boss. It's more AoE pulls with your tank that will just have to pull an AoE down. Make sure you have all 3 items before the last boss, and yeah, the last boss awaits. And we are at the last boss for the BE, which is called Barakus the Godslayer. The Barakus the Godslayer has a very easy mechanics. He has a puddles he spawns on the field, so you just have your tank move it out of the puddles while you stay behind him. And now there's gonna come time for the items. So at the 70%, he does enrage, so you will have to use the hard item to take the buff away. At 50%, he will spawns additional mobs, so you will have to gather them together and use the orb to AoE the mobs down. And at 30%, he will get a defense buff, which you will have to use the claw to get rid of it. And congratulations, just like that, you are successfully finished BBMBE. Congratulations. Alright, and that's gonna be it for the video. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully the guide is gonna be helpful for you guys. Once again, if you guys like the video, please like and subscribe on the YouTube. And once again, I stream on the Kick, so if you guys will have any question, please don't hesitate to come say hello. Alright, you guys have a wonderful time, and see you in the next one. Bye!